Good afternoon and welcome to your daily dose of Love Island chat with radiotimes.com. I'm Frances Taylor.
I'm Paul Jones.
And we're going to be discussing not only the big fallout from last night, of which there was a lot, but also the explosive arguments coming up on tonight's show. And I have to say, everyone seems to be fighting with everybody tonight. It's quite hard to keep up, but we'll do our best to untangle all of the fights, all of the big drama. But first of all, we've got to talk about last night's dumping. Wasn't it fantastic? There was such a brilliant twist. It was 4 islanders left. I mean, we've got 20 in there at the moment, so I think they had to do a bit of a mass dumping. But Paul, what did you think of the big twist of getting Wes and Georgia?
It was a properly good twist, wasn't it? Because we knew the dumping was coming, and we've been told quite a lot of times, oh, there's this twist coming, and you're sort of like, it's not really a twist, is it? Because it happened last year, and we know exactly what it's going to be. But this year, that was brilliant. That it's the bottom 3 couples. One of them is gone, but then Wes and Georgia, thank you, the 2 singletons, are the people who have to make the decision about who they're going to couple up with and therefore who's going to get to stay. And I thought that was a really nice twist because we sort of almost thought at one point, could the singletons still be in the mix for getting dumped themselves, but actually they're the ones making the decision. So,
yeah, it was fantastic to see Wes and Georgia be told you're immune and they go, oh, thank goodness, and then be told you actually have to decide who goes home now, and the stress instantly returned to their faces.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, it did, yes, and I think it's because they don't want to, they're to a certain extent they're all friends in there, less and less actually, but they don't want to sort of send one of their villa mates home. But Wes says in tonight's episode, I think, that was the most difficult decision I've had to make on here. And I mean, was it really?
I know. Sacking off Laura obviously was quite easy.
Well, no, but I mean, picking Megan, who's he going to go with? Megan, the person that he really fancies and has been grafting after and has had something with, or Daryl? And who else was in the firing line?
New Ellie, as in Jack's ex Ellie.
Yeah, I haven't even had time to remember these people. So you know, I don't really buy that was difficult. I think that was pretty damn easy.
Yeah, we all saw that coming. He did do a bit of drama and some pausing, but he was always going to choose Megan.
The long pauses are brilliant, aren't they?
They are. I wonder how much of that is dragged out by the producers and how much of that is them.
Surely it's the producers.
I like the fact
I see them there with a stopwatch in the background going, no.
I hope that's true. But yeah, so we lost 4 islanders last night. Obviously, new Ellie, new Alex, he went as well. Daryl, not too fussed to see her go, I have to say. But Adam, do you know what? I was really gutted to see Adam go because I know he's a villain, but I love him. I love watching him.
I agree. I've really enjoyed him, and there's almost an element. Well, first of all, he's one of the originals, isn't he? And that's so you've always got a bit of an attachment to him, and I think other people in the villa definitely will have. But also, I don't know, do you buy that I'm starting to have feelings, if I realise that I like Zara again?
I would like to say yes.
Almost turned it for me that, I don't know.
I would like to say yes, but then, we had this little story this morning of an interview with Zara where she said she hadn't actually heard from Adam yet, and seeing as he'd been out the villa quite a long time.
I feel like...
But then maybe they didn't have a chance to swap numbers.
Whatever he might have said or thought he was going to do when he left, I think there will have been, shall we say, a number of obstacles in his way to
the female variety.
A number of possible distractions.
Yeah.
Before he gets to see her. So yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed for Zara.
I would love to think, as Zara came out the villa and she said that she'd found love, I would like to think that Adam has thought the same and that they're both going to get together and live happily ever after. However, as I think I said this morning, when he starts doing those nightclub appearances and has lots of women chasing after him,
the mind boggles.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Oh, I mean, we wish them all the best, but I'm not buying a hat just yet. Oh dear. But obviously in tonight's show, again, as we just said, there were lots and lots of arguments, but one of the biggest is between Laura and Georgia. And the headline here is obviously Laura being lied to actually by Georgia, which is quite a shocking statement to say. And,
loyal Georgia?
Loyal?
How could loyal Georgia?
I'm so loyal,
She's really
babe.
loyal.
I'm so
how
loyal,
could
babe.
She, loyal Georgia, lie to one of her friends? She's loyal. She wouldn't do that.
She's so loyal. I think we might have just squeezed in more loyals than Georgia does in this episode.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's quite shocking what happens. I mean, just to have a quick recap, obviously last night Georgia actually chose Jack, Laura's Jack, to go on a date with, and she did kiss him a couple of times, and I think there's no real contest that actually it was definitely her kissing him. She's pulling him towards her face.
We've analysed. So what happens tonight is she's saying he went for me. He's saying no, I went for a peck on the cheek. And got dragged accidentally or on purpose by Georgia, got dragged in for an actual kiss on the lips, but then she went in for a second one. And that's what he's told Laura. Laura does believe Jack, to be fair. And yeah, we've done some, we've broken it down, haven't we? We've looked at this in slow motion here. And I think we both agree Laura went for it both times.
Georgia.
Georgia.
It's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. But no, Georgia definitely did put it on Jack, if you can go that far to say. But what's really interesting is this evening, it's like she was not there at all, and she has a completely different version of events. And she actually says, I don't graft anyone. He came to kiss me. That's what she tells Danny what happened.
Not true.
And it's just not true. And what's really unfortunate here, obviously, is that apart from a select few of the Islanders, no one else was actually there on that date. So it turns out that obviously people then have to try and take sides over what happened. But I feel really sorry for Laura. You know, she ends up saying she doesn't really feel like she's got any friends in there anymore, because obviously everything that happened with Wes, there's a big fallout with Laura and Megan this evening, obviously arguing about that as well.
But then Ellie does step in to, and I'm not the biggest fan of Ellie, but she steps in sort of to have a go at Georgia in sort of defence of Laura, doesn't she? So she's getting a bit of support from Ellie at least.
Exactly, and this is the next big story that we've got to come on to, which is obviously Ellie and Georgia's big fight, because there was a little bit of a sneaky preview at the end of last night's episode, sneaky, where we saw them having this huge argument in the kitchen with Josh having to step in and almost break them up, and you thought that came out of absolute nowhere, because obviously they haven't had, when you look at the relationship history between the two of them, they haven't had any crossover with any of the boys, but it transpires that the reason why Ellie is so het up is because Laura talks to her about everything that Georgia said, and Ellie is not impressed. And I have to say, much like you, Ellie really goes up in my estimations over this, because she ends up saying to, you know, I think it might be Charlie and some other people in the villa, she says, has everyone just forgotten what happened to Laura, and is no one worrying about Laura in this scenario? And I think that's really important.
It's nice that she is thinking that, absolutely, yeah. And Danny kind of, I mean, I can see why Danny feels like everybody's now kind of on Georgia, doesn't she?
Ganging up
on her. And so she's kind of taken her side, which is nice because it's partly because she doesn't want to see her on her own, but she does seem to be, I don't know, I think it's a slightly weird decision in a way based on what they all know, because they don't know anything. Basically.
Exactly. It ends up that, you know, it's listening to one person's side of the story and then the other side, and everyone has to kind of make their mind up. And obviously, Laura and Ellie are very much, you know, Team Laura, and actually really turn against Georgia. They both end up saying, you know, I don't want anything more to do with the girl, and they're kind of done with her.
There's a lot of brilliant little wind your neck in sort of moments.
And a lot of four-letter words, which we won't be repeating, but it gets very heated.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. It's weird. Josh is almost the voice of reason, isn't he? He's sort of saying, look, all this stuff is out of proportion. No one knows what went on, which is, you know, true, actually.
It is
except for
true.
a couple of people.
Exactly, but then obviously when Georgia storms off, Josh is actually the one who almost tries to go after her, and she turns around and says, babe, what are you going to actually say to me? Do one. And he stops in his tracks. He does not go after her after that. But it does seem that there's going to be this big line drawn in the villa, actually, between them and whose side everyone's going to be on, because when Danny says that her loyalties actually lie with Georgia over all of this, and that she kind of says to Laura, you know, it takes two people to kiss. Well, Laura kind of blows up a bit at Danny, obviously quite understandably, but it will be really interesting to see just what develops from that, and if it's going to become a bigger issue.
What would you do if you wanted to diffuse a situation like this? Because
what are
the Islanders clear the air by taking part in a saucy dance-off.
I think that's the way that the whole world needs to solve their problems.
Absolutely, I feel
if
like
you ever fight with someone, take clothes off.
This tribe has been discovered in the deepest jungle, and unlike most other groups of people, they don't have wars. They just have dance-offs whenever there's any. Well, I love that.
Yeah,
it's great.
I do.
That's what we're told happens tonight, and well, you know, we've seen it before, haven't we?
We have. They did this last year, and so tonight. Is Dr. Alex finally going to set the pulses racing of the ladies in the villa? Now, my knee-jerk reaction to this is absolutely not, and the pictures are actually quite horrific. Is that a word
Disturbing.
for that? Disturbing.
Yeah,
I'm going to be having nightmares
cringeworthy.
about them.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it's quite.
Tell us, what have you seen?
Well, I've seen poor Alex coming out wearing a bow tie and one of those rip it all off Butler all-in-ones. And then the next picture is him having ripped off all the Butler all-in-one and sort of thrusting in Georgia's
Look,
face.
right, when was there ever a better opportunity for Alex to dress up as a sexy doctor? Like, coat, stethoscope, and so it ends up just with a stethoscope around his neck, nothing else. Well, maybe, you know.
I think that's the producers.
They've missed the trick there, right?
After the whole sending Danny that misleading message about Jack and Castor and Moore, I think that's the second worst thing the producers have ever done this series, is not put Jack in a
clues
sexy
in
doctor
the name,
outfit.
Dr. Alex.
Oh, they really missed the trick.
I think that could have gone from it being really terrible to probably still being really terrible, but maybe it would have made it a bit better.
Maybe, but for people who didn't see the show last year, what's going to happen is all of the islanders are going to be hooked up to these heart rate monitors, and then they'll take it in turns. So I don't know if the boys or the girls go first, but either way, they all take it in turns to come out and do a kind of sexy striptease for the rest of them, and then they'll see which islanders have got everybody's heart racing the most. I think what would be really interesting is to have a little look at Jack's results afterwards and to see whether he actually thought Georgia or Laura's were the best stripping.
Yeah.
Because I think that'd be quite telling, because Laura does sort of put it on him quite a lot in sort of her routine. She actually gives him a snog. But just imagine if Georgia's comes back more. It probably won't, but I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Who knows? Yeah, that would be tasty. It's interesting that we see her kind of like giving him lots of attention in that, isn't it? Because earlier on in the episode, they have the chat about the kiss and everything, and she believes him. But there's this sort of bit where he's sort of saying, look, I've told you loads of times that I really like you, and you've never said it back to me. And I think part of the reason is because she's like, I'm not ever gonna let my guard down, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it sounds like maybe she's taken that to heart in the sexy dance off. But then again, what else are you gonna do in a sexy dance off? You are gonna sexily dance.
You are.
Off.
Well, my favourite sort of thing about this is there'll be a lot of people perhaps tuning in for the very first time tonight going, I've read a lot of negative headlines about Love Island. I've read it's all just tawdry and rubbish, but I'll give it a go. And this is going to prove them absolutely
massive fights
right
across the board, and then people doing sexy
taking their clothes off.
This is exactly what I knew it was going to get. People have told me this is more subtle than the average reality show. What are they on about? Yeah.
So progressive. It's 2018.
It's not that.
We've
You've never
people taking
seen it
their clothes
before.
off.
Maybe, Dan, you've got preconceptions. Maybe, don't make this the first episode you watch, although I think it is going to be extremely entertaining.
I can't wait. I genuinely can't wait, although I might just have to look away when Alex comes on. I don't think I can take it. I can't take the cringe. Take the cringe.
Samira's a dancer.
Yeah, she is, although she says she can't freestyle, and so she's not really got many high hopes for herself, which I think is underselling it.
She can come up with a routine, can't she?
Yeah.
Choreograph herself.
I think she's wearing a bit of silver, sort of sci-fi-esque get-up.
Sounds
so
good.
Paul's keen. Paul's going to be watching at 9 o'clock this evening.
Just interested in a I can't think of a way to say this. Help me.
It's
not
pre-watershed, so let's keep it.
No,
clean.
but not that way. That's what I'm saying. I'm interested in a pre-watershed way, not in a post-watershed way. Just an interested observer, as a commentator on these things. God.
Do you want another spade? I mean, you can just keep digging.
Say something else.
I'm going to say that's about it. That's all we've got time
Yes.
for. What a fantastic note to end on. Obviously, Love Island does take a break on Saturday nights, but it'll be back on Sunday at 9 o'clock for, I'm sure, yet more arguments. But for all the latest Love Island news, don't forget to check out radiotimes.com.